Operations have been watched.
You will die!
To survive a war, you gotta become war. Or, in the case of NAM 1975 on the Neo Geo, you just need a lot of credits. NAM 1975 was one of the first, if not the very first game SNK released on their new arcade-at-home system, the Neo Geo, in 1990. The game sees one or two players take on a vast army of enemy soldiers in Vietnam in 1975. Hence, the name of the game. The style of gameplay is very similar to Cabal, which was released by Taito a few years earlier, in that the player can only move in a single plane, left or right, across the screen and shoot up the screen where the enemies are located. This kind of shoot 'em up was different from most others because the player has a crosshair target to move across the screen to target enemies. When the player moves, the crosshair moves. But when shooting, only the crosshair moves and the player becomes an easy target for enemy fire. There are 6 stages for the player to fight his way through, and if the player is deemed to be doing well, extra enemy attacks are sprung upon them at the end of certain levels. And it is important not to confuse those with bonus stages, as if you die here, it's game over. Both players begin the game with a standard machine gun with infinite ammo and 10 grenades. When certain enemies are killed or certain building structures are brought down, they will drop guns, grenades or other items that can be collected, such as points or extra lives. The guns that can be picked up during gameplay consist of the Balkan, which is a more powerful machine gun, a flamethrower capable of only taking out ground units, and a missile launcher. While the other grenade type weapons that can be collected are the spark and napalm bombs. If the players save a female hostage from the enemy, the hostage will help players by shooting at enemies until the player who rescued her is killed or reaches the end of the area. Like many earlier games released by SNK, it is well known for its high difficulty, with the final boss being particularly infamous among players for disabling continues after reaching the end of the last stage, and if the players are killed during this battle, it will automatically trigger the bad ending, forcing the restart of the game to the beginning in order to achieve the good ending. Some sections of the game look heavily influenced by the Stanley Kubrick movie Full Metal Jacket, with these Viet Cong female soldiers looking very much like the ones seen at the end of Full Metal Jacket. Even the pose looks the same, and the intro at the start looking a little bit like Animal Mother with his M60 machine gun, and the Born to Kill reference on the helmet lifted straight from Private Jokers in the movie. When you consider that the Neo Geo was touted as an arcade experience at home by SNK, it's difficult to see what they were going on about, especially with this release. The graphics looked average for the time, with small sprites and not a huge amount of detail on them either. The animation was fairly decent on the main sprites, but again, not what you would expect from a machine that was supposed to be this arcade powerhouse. In fact, at the time this was out, I couldn't understand why Neo Geo games were £200, when you could get an arcade experience at home on the Mega Drive, the game was only costing a fraction of a Neo Geo game. Bland backgrounds throughout the game didn't really help either. In fact, visually, the whole thing was fairly uninspiring. Some magazines praised the graphics, but I for one was not impressed by them, especially when they looked no better than those seen on the Sega Mega Drive or the soon to be released Super Famicom. The sound garnered mostly negative reviews, especially in magazines, but personally, I thought the sound was impressive. The Neo Geo, with its 15 channels of sound, was able to pull off a decent soundtrack. Some pretty excellent sound effects, especially in the explosions, the machine gun sounds and the tanks. But what most gamers of the day remember about NAM 1975's sound was the vast amount of sampled speech in the game. Seriously, up to this point in video games, you would hear single words, or maybe two at a time, like power up, or let's go Mr. Driver, or something. NAM 1975 had chunks of dialogue that seemed like it was an entry in a log file or something, and it was all crisp and clear. These dialogues would be heard on the storyboard style cutscenes that progressed the game along.
This is Firebird. Headquarters. Over. We've been sighted. We'll abandon boat and go through Donang City. Over. How did they know our plan? Tell us, how do you know our plan? I don't know. Oh wait, I know. Your communications have been intercepted because... Enemy's commander was hit by a sniper, but we still got some info. The laser weapon...
A mate of mine would always find it hilarious when the storyboard cutscenes would play, as he always thought they looked so cheesy and stupid, like they'd been lifted out from a B movie or something. But apart from that, he always wanted a go on it whenever he was round, and I was always happy to have a go as well. But what saved NAM 1975 from being a total disaster was the gameplay. This really was a fun little game on 1 or 2 player and provided a decent challenge. And when you play the game, you lose focus on the average graphics and bland backgrounds, as you're having too much fun taking it to the enemy. The game has been compared to Cabal, but where this improves on Cabal is in the challenge. You see, in Cabal, you had cover to hide behind. In NAM 1975, you don't. So you have to avoid enemy gunfire, grenades, rockets, helicopters, tanks, bombers, just about everything that can be thrown at you. The game was not highly praised by critics in video game magazines at the time of its release. In fact, most magazines would usually give you 2 ratings on early Neo Geo games, one for the arcade and one for the at-home experience. You see, price plays a factor. If the game is enjoyable for say 50p a go, then why not? But when you are expected to shell out £200 for it at home, then no, it's not worth £200. But then, no game was in those days. I got my Neo Geo in 1994. My main reason for getting the console was so I could play Samurai Showdown at home. And that was it really. I had no intention of buying up loads of games for it, but I did commit to buying some other games. Especially as in 1994 and 95, the Neo Geo had hit rock bottom, and older games were selling for between £20 and £40, if you can believe that. So NAM 1975 was a game I only paid £40 for, and at that price, and at 4 years old, it was a bargain, and a great game at that price. And some SNES and Mega Drive games were now approaching 50 quid, so that 40 quid price tag was even more appealing. I can't imagine what it would have been like for those early Neo Geo adopters who paid £200 for this game. But if it were me, I would have been left disappointed. The irony now is that with Neo Geo games being very collectible, people are now paying close to £1,000 in some instances. But on average, this game goes for about 250 quid. Which is way too much, in my opinion. The best way, or easiest way, to play NAM 1975 now is on emulation. It's certainly the cheapest way to play it, that's for sure. And I can recommend that you give it a go if you haven't already. If nothing else, it's nice to play a real piece of video game history. And that's all from me, folks. If you like this video, then please give me a sub and a thumbs up, and a big thank you to all of those that have subscribed already. Thanks for watching.
Operation completed. Dr. Muckley intended to destroy the world with this laser weapon. Now we are called heroes. But the hell continues.